who are on the call right now, Kelly resigned.
Oh,
I know Jackie's aware of that because she sent an email to her yesterday. I think Mark's aware. So I think getting our surveys pulled together sooner than later might help. So,
yeah, they just said last night that they would share their surveys so that we could all look at what they've done and, take questions from them. And
right.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll get them today.
So you want me to wait before I prepare the survey till I get those?
Yeah, I was just telling them last night on my pets call, there were 3 or 4 people who've done surveys already and said they would share them. So,
Good. And the survey says?
yeah.
Donna. Good morning, Donna. Miss checking in, the audio's connecting.
Good morning, Donna.
Good morning. Long time no see.
Yeah. Hey, Joe's a piece of work. I like him.
Yeah, he is a piece of work, but he gets that crowd moving. He's
Yeah.
a great MC.
I had conflicting issues. How did it go?
Good.
Went well. I think I got some positive feedback individually from people throughout the call. He
Yeah.
has an expansive knowledge of what he talks about and what he's done in the past, and he's willing to help our club, and he's going to send documents to me and to Dawn to review what his contract would be, just to give us an idea, and we'll go from there.
Who's Joe?
Joe Messino from Messino Casinos, over the casino fundraising event that we may hold.
Oh, okay,
We met with him last night.
okay.
Hey,
Yeah,
Doug.
I didn't go on that call. I was working on some stuff with Rich Luttrell. Over the
Hey,
last
Doug,
day.
you have,
It's okay.
got
We
the
know you are
bio?
working on something.
Yes, I have the bio. Guys, it is now 8 o'clock. Our speaker is not here yet, but hopefully she logs in shortly. But let's go ahead and Mark, if you could get our flag ready. And Cindy, would you mind leading us off in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance
Pledge
allegiance
to the
to the flag
of the
of the
United
United
States of America
of America,
and to the
To the
to the
republic
republic
For which
which
is
for which it stands,
one
nation,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for
for all.
all.
Yay, Inauguration Day.
Yes, I was thinking the same.
Peter, would you mind leading us in the 4-way test?
Absolutely. First, is it the
Is
truth?
Is it true?
Is it
Is
fair
it
Is it
to all?
fair to all
concerned?
concerned?
Will it
Will build
Will it build
goodwill,
goodwill and better
friendship.
friendships?
Will
be
it
Will it be
beneficial
beneficial
to
to
all
all
concerned?
concerned?
And Papa G, would you mind leading us in the prayer?
Sure. Help us today to see our opening prayer as conversation, really believing you hear us and care about what we say. Remind us that you are a perfect father who listens carefully to his children and desires the very best for us. We thank you for this family of Rotarians to which we belong and ask that you bless us as we meet today. Amen.
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 Perfect. I still don't see our guest speaker on yet, but I guess what we could do while we're waiting is we could start Happy Talk until she comes on. So why don't we start with Miss Jackie?
Okay, well, I'm happy that we're making great progress on our trivia social. That'll be on February 12th. And I had a good conversation with Rich Luttrell yesterday and the day before about some Polio Plus ideas, which he will share with you at a future date. And I see Cheryl on here. She's muted, but I want to ask Cheryl, I was thinking if maybe in mid-April or something, if we might be able to do another bingo and not involved like with all the prizes and all that, all that stuff, but just fun. If she's at all interested in, doing the cards and all that again. So she can text me later if she wants, or.
Always interested in doing bingo. That was a fun night.
Oh, good. Thank you, Cheryl. Okay, I'm thinking for mid-April for that one.
Okay.
Okay, that's me. Thank you.
Hey, Jackie, I got a quick question. I know
Okay.
you don't want to go into all the prizes and all the things before, but anything wrong with maybe having 3 prizes for within our club members that are attending?
Which one, bingo or trivia?
Either one, but bingo, I was thinking.
Yeah, sure. I just don't want to put a lot of burden on people just to have
Sure.
fun, but whatever. I'm open to anything. I just don't want to burden people with, it was
Okay.
Earl and Bob the last time and, and I didn't,
Well, how about if I take responsibility for 3 prizes and we'll disperse them? I'll take responsibility for that.
And, okay, and Seema offered for the trivia, but I told her to wait for bingo. She's got some other
Yeah, I
smaller
have
things.
jewelry
that
and
she
stuff,
can do.
so I
She's
can
got a-
coordinate with you, Donna, or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay,
so she's
we'll
got
figure it
some
out.
things for smaller prizes, but we could have maybe 3 bigger prizes. That'd be great. Okay,
I think
thanks, everybody.
this is a good mindset to get into for if we have a casino night or any type of fundraising, is that anytime you hold or dangle something in front of someone that they may receive in return with having a little fun is always a good thing.
Right, and I don't know I don't want to interfere with when the casino is. I don't know when that's planned.
Way at the end of the year.
Okay,
Well,
okay, good.
technically, it's not planned, but we're moving in that direction.
Well, I just didn't
Right.
want to interfere with that. Okay, all right,
All
thank you.
Hey, guys, thank you for all the input. Cindy, let's jump back into happy talk.
Okay. I'm happy I got to spend the day yesterday with my grandchildren. It was really fun. We had a good time and had a good call on Rotary Pets last night, actually, about membership and surveying clubs and stuff. So hopefully we'll get some help on that. And yeah, just having, and I get to sew all the time in my new
Perfect.
studio.
Perfect. Dwayne, how about yourself?
Well, I'm happy today because I have a dentist appointment, so I'm really looking forward
Oh
to that.
boy.
We're all envious. We're all very envious of you, of your Dwayne.
I'm just happy to be here and to be healthy and to be chugging along.
President Doug, I see that Sarah has joined us.
Yes, but I am not sure who Sarah is. So that
Your
was coming up
speaker.
next.
Your speaker, I believe.
Where is
No,
she? I don't see her.
our speaker's name is Jean.
Okay, sorry.
Is there a guest?
Hi, Jesse. So, Sarah, can you tell us who you are and tell us how you found us today?
Hi, sorry, I just popped in. I am Jean's guest.
Oh, okay. We're still waiting for Jean to come on. So when she comes on, we will she'll be doing her her speech, I guess, her presentation. So
Welcome.
welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
You're about to hear why we're all so happy.
Yeah, so
I
that's
love it.
what we're going through right now.
Can you guys see her?
I can see her picture. She's not live, but I can see her picture.
I can't see her.
It's
You had that problem
Sarah
last night.
District Bliss. Anyway, Mark Cook, tell us why you're happy, my friend.
All right. Well, I'm going to share my screen to tell you why I'm happy, because I finally figured out how to get the Google Calendar onto our website.
Yay!
So when you go to the website, if you're a committee chair and you have meetings scheduled, please let me know. And now all you have to do is click like on the club meeting. It will give you information and even give you the Zoom link if there's a Zoom link. So there you go.
Yay, Mark.
Now there's no excuses for being late.
All right, and now I see Jean, our fabulous speaker today. Jean, good morning. How are you? So we will come back to Happy Talk after Jean. So Jean, I know you're just logging in, but we were just kind of stalling for time and doing our Happy Talk, but now we would like to turn it back over to you so we can learn all about how to save money on insurance by helping us not have tickets.
Yeah,
Speed.
well, yeah, that's a great segue. Should I talk about myself and my background, or should I just get into
Actually, you know what, Eugene, you're right. I should introduce you a little bit better than that. Gene and I have known each other for a little while. We're both members of HGBA and everything, but Gene is the principal attorney. And Gene, I know I'm going to pronounce your last name wrong because I always thought it was Herbert, but
Not even close.
Exactly, exactly. But she exclusively handles criminal defense cases for traffic. So Jean has actually written a book, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I do know about the book because we talked about it years ago when she was going to start writing it. So with nothing further ado, because I do such a great job of introducing people, even though I have your bio right here, because I can't read very well. So let me turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks, Doug. Hi, everybody. Thanks for inviting me to speak today. It's Jean Humbrecht of Humbrecht Law. So thanks, Doug. So as he said, I do handle exclusively criminal and traffic matters. And a lot of the times traffic matters do become criminal. And I decided to write the book because, well, I wanted to write a book, but I thought, what are most people going to be interested in? And most people have received speeding tickets. I actually have not, knock on wood, but I'm probably the only person out there that that's never happened to. But it's happened to basically everybody. So that's why I wrote this book, because there are a lot of consequences of speeding tickets that people are not aware of. It affects insurance. As Doug said, it affects a lot of things. So I'm just going to kind of go through the chapters in the book as my presentation. And I guess if you guys want to ask questions as I go or hold questions to the end, if just somebody could let me know if somebody has a question, because I can't see everybody's face on the screen. So 22 chapters of the book, because there are 22 ways that speeding tickets affect your life. The first question that people have is, do I have to pay a fine? Yes, there's always a fine if you get a speeding ticket in Virginia. The fine is based on the number of miles per hour over the speed limit you were driving. It's usually, well, that's the prepayable fine, I should say. You can prepay the ticket or you can go to court and fight it. The prepayable ticket is based on $6 for every mile per hour over the limit. And in certain areas, like school zones and residential districts, there's higher fines for speeding in those areas, higher fines for every mile per hour over the limit. If you go to court to fight the ticket, the maximum fine for a speeding ticket or any traffic infraction is $250. And another thing about paying the fine, like I said, you can prepay it. A lot of people think that they can just prepay the fine and that's it. They don't have to go to court. That is true. You can prepay the ticket online, but if you do that, you're admitting guilt and there's going to be a conviction on your driving record, and you're going to have DMV demerit points based on the number of points that the DMV associates with that particular offense. And the problem there that I'll get to in a few minutes is if you accumulate too many points, that's a problem for insurance, obviously, but also the DMV can impose penalties like a mandatory driver improvement class and license suspension if you rack up too many points in a short period of time. So you can prepay the ticket, but there's always a fine, or there's always a conviction on your record for doing that. You also have to pay court costs if you prepay the ticket, even if you don't go to court. I can't explain that, you just do, it's the law. And then you have the DMV points. And the next chapter is, do I have to pay court costs? If you go to court to fight something, anything, and you're convicted, you do have to pay court costs in addition to the fine. And sometimes you even have to pay court costs if you go to court and something is dismissed. There are certain traffic tickets that you can get dismissed basically in exchange for, doing like a driver improvement class and paying the court costs. And like I said, if you pay the ticket online, you have to pay the court costs. Even if you don't go to court, there's nothing you can do about that. Another question that people have is, do I have to go to court? These chapters go into more detail about these different issues, but you don't have to go to court for speeding. You have to go to court for reckless driving, which is another topic I'll get to later. But you don't have to go to court. You can prepay it, but like I said, you have the conviction, you're going to have the DMV points. Or you could go to court and you could fight the ticket, or you can hire a lawyer to fight the ticket. And the next chapter is DMV points. If you are speeding 1 to 9 miles per hour over the limit, well, if you're convicted at that speed, I should say, the DMV is going to assess 3 points to your record, and those points stay there for, that conviction stays on your record for 5 years. If you're speeding 10 to 19 miles per hour over the limit, that's 4 points on your record. And if you're speeding 20 miles per hour or more over the limit, that's 6 points on your record. Driving at that speed also can be charged as reckless driving, 20 miles per hour or more over the limit, and that is a crime. that also has 6 DMV demerit points. It stays on your driving record for 11 years, but it stays on your criminal record permanently. You can never expunge anything in Virginia. At least that's the law right now. It doesn't matter if you're 65 years old and you had a reckless driving when you were 18, it's still going to be on there. And it's also punished with jail and a high fine and driver's license suspension for up to 6 months. And the next section is, will a conviction go on my record? Any conviction resulting in demerit points will go on your driving record. There are very few, less than a handful of traffic tickets that will not go on your driving record. Even if there are some that don't have points, but they still go on your record. And that's still something to be aware of, because your insurance company, your auto insurance, will see everything that's on your record. You know, even if you don't have to pay a fine, and there's other consequences to having convictions on your driving record. And then, can my license get suspended? Your license cannot be suspended just for speeding, but your license can be suspended if you accumulate too many demerit points in a short amount of time. A lot of people think that this doesn't apply to them, and they don't need to worry about it, but this is a lot more common than people think, because these traffic tickets can add up. If you get a few in a short period of time, the DMV will suspend your license for 90 days and there is nothing you can do about it. And if you are driving on a suspended license, that is a crime. And if you're convicted of that, there's further mandatory license suspension, and it's just a vicious cycle that people get themselves into. So if you get 18 points within 12 months, your license will be suspended. Or if you get 24 points in 24 months, your license will be suspended. And people think that that's not going to happen. I'm never going to get that many points that quickly. But 3 offenses resulting in 6 points puts you at 18 points right there. So that's a couple of high speedings or reckless drivings. Or if you get suspended and you're driving on a suspended license, that's 6 points there too. So it's just something to be aware of, because these things can quickly add up, and then people find themselves in big trouble that's difficult to get out of. And because, people drive because they have to for work, even though you shouldn't if your license is suspended, but people do anyway. And imagine trying to get around without being able to drive. It's impossible. Something I didn't mention. Will speeding tickets affect out-of-state drivers? If you do not have a Virginia license, but you're driving in Virginia, the laws still apply to you regardless of where your license is from. So if you get a ticket in Virginia, you can prepay it, you can go to court. If you're convicted, it's going to go on your Virginia driving record. Even if you don't have a Virginia license, you will now have a Virginia driving record. And your home state will most likely find out about the conviction, because there's an interstate compact, basically, where states share information. And I believe 46 out of the 50 states participate in that. So pretty much if you get a ticket anywhere, your home state is going to find out about it. So Virginia can, suspend you in Virginia, suspend your privilege to drive for certain things, but they cannot suspend you or affect you in your other state. It's when your home state finds out about something, they will associate the penalty that they would give you for that offense, not what Virginia would. So if you're reckless driving in Virginia, 6 points, but maybe in your home state it's 3 points, I'm just making up numbers here, then your home state will assess 3 points to your driving record. So the main point is, if you get a ticket anywhere, your home state is going to find out about it, whether you go to court or prepay it. So you can't just ignore those things and think that they're going to go away. Actually, I just got a call from I got a client who lives in California now, whose license has been suspended for 30 years because of issues in Virginia, driving on suspended back in the 80s, actually before I was even born. And he can't get a license in California. So he's retained me to help him get his license back. These things really do affect you. They do not go away. Will my car insurance go up? That's the next chapter. Most likely, yes. As Doug can give you more details about the actual auto insurance requirements. Car insurance, they look at everything. They look at how many years you've been driving. They look at how clean your record is. Where do you drive, your age, male, female, drivers under 25 have higher insurance. the number of issues you've had on your driving record, you know, how long between issues on your driving record, like maybe you got something when you were 18 and something else again when you were 30, you know, that's going to probably affect you differently than if you got a bunch of, you know, tickets within a few year period. But nobody can ever say, yes, your insurance is going to go up this much with this ticket, but it's basically how clean is your record, the severity of the offense, you know, DUIs, reckless drivings, that's going to make your insurance go up more than lower level traffic offenses, but you still don't want anything on your record because your insurance will find out about it. And you have to assume that your insurance will go up. And that usually is in effect for 3 years if you don't get anything else within that 3-year period. Another interesting issue that I didn't even know about until recently, will a speeding ticket affect my life insurance? Life insurance companies want to see your driving record and your criminal record because people with what they consider to be questionable or bad driving records, basically, they think are high risk to insure because you engage in risky behavior and you are more likely to die, and they will have to pay out on a policy. And I'm not making that up. They actually ask that on insurance applications. So will one ticket prevent you from getting life insurance? Probably not. But if you've got a bad driving record, you might have a problem. But once you have life insurance, you're usually good. They won't drop you. But if you try to, you know, get better rates or switch insurance companies, be aware of anything that you have gotten on your driving record since you first applied, because they will see that and that actually could affect you. So definitely don't drop any insurance until you find out for sure if your rates are going to go up. The other issue people want to know, could I be sued? If you are convicted of speeding or any traffic offense that resulted in a car accident and you prepay that ticket online, as I said, that's a conviction, and that can and probably will be used against you if there is a civil lawsuit in the future resulting from that car accident. If you go to court and fight the ticket, and if you plead guilty or no contest, that plea can be used against you in a civil suit. If you go to trial on your speeding ticket or whatever ticket it is, whatever issue, and you lose, they could try to use it against you in a civil case, but it's not going to impact you as much because you never actually pled guilty. The problem is pleading guilty. The problem is prepaying that ticket. So going to trial and losing sometimes is better if you're risking issues, you know, with insurance or a potential civil claim. And even if you weren't to blame or you think you weren't to blame, I mean, people sue people all the time. So you don't want to have to deal with it and pay a civil lawyer for that. So it's just better to be aware of these things before a problem could arise. And as I mentioned earlier, speeding sometimes can be a crime in Virginia. If you are driving more than 20 miles per hour over the limit or more than 85 miles per hour, which that part of the law recently changed, 85 miles per hour, 85 miles per hour, you can be charged with reckless driving. And that's a crime, and it can be punished with jail time, a high fine up to $2,500, and driver's license suspension up to 6 months. Again, DMV points, and it's on your criminal record forever. You can never expunge reckless driving, you know, no matter how minor it is, no matter how old it is. So just be aware of that, because a lot of times people think, oh, it's just reckless driving, not a big deal. I'll pay it, whatever, I'll go to court. But, you know, just be aware of that. And then another thing, for reckless driving, you cannot prepay that because that is a crime that's punishable by jail. You have to go to court. You can go to court and plea, you can go to court to fight it, but you have to go to court. And if you do not go to court, they could issue a bench warrant for your arrest. And I have seen it happen, even though people think it's just speeding. No, you have to take that seriously, and you can't just skip court. They could convict you in your absence, but they could also issue a bench warrant. And if they convict you in your absence, they could suspend your license. They can't give you jail time, but whatever penalties they've given you, if you forget about that court date, you don't go, and they convict you, and it's past the appeal deadline, it's too late to do anything about it. So it's just important to take all of these seriously, but especially reckless driving. The other issue is, can I lose my security clearance? Just like life insurance companies, people who review your security clearance, whether you're applying for the first time or renewing, they will see your driving record and they will see your criminal record. And there's 13 different categories that security clearance investigators look at. And one of them is personal conduct. And that's where the traffic issues fall in. There's criminal conduct, obviously, you know, DUIs, reckless drivings would fall in there. But personal conduct, basically, kind of that's a category that encompasses something that doesn't fit anywhere else. They look at it like, is this person engaging in a pattern of questionable behavior or risky behavior, kind of a thing? And people with bad driving records actually can have an issue when it comes to security clearance. Is it going to be denied because of a bad driving record? Probably not, but you don't want to have any, what you want to have as few issues as possible. And if you got other stuff going on, you don't want to make anything worse. So if you have a security clearance, it's important to, at the very least, consult with a lawyer before just prepaying something. And also to look at what your particular reporting requirements are, because sometimes not reporting something is worse than reporting whatever the actual offense was. Something that probably doesn't pertain to anybody here. Could I lose my commercial driver's license? People that have CDLs, they basically get affected much quicker when it comes to traffic tickets than other people. Speeding at lower speeds could cause them to lose their privileges for certain periods of time, or potentially for the rest of their lives. And then they lose their livelihood because that's all that they do. And then they have to find other line of work. So anyone with a CDL has to be very careful if they get any traffic offenses and not just prepay them. Could I lose my job? Are you going to get fired for speeding ticket? Probably not. The problem comes taking time off work to go to court, or if you can't go to work because you're going to jail for a reckless driving conviction, or multiple times taking time off work to go to court to fight a ticket. But then potentially if your employment is contingent on having a clean driving record, which a lot of people's jobs are, Lyft, Uber, anybody that's doing delivery. And now with COVID, a lot more people on the roads for work. They do need clean driving records. So while one speeding ticket, probably not, but multiple offenses are definitely could be an issue for certain people's employment. Another issue is, are juveniles punished the same way as adults are? In terms of the law, they are, but the actual punishment that the court and the DMV imposes is, it's basically worse quicker. So if a juvenile driver under the age of 8 gets a ticket under the age of 18, resulting in DMV points, they are required by the DMV to take a driver improvement class. If they don't take that class, their license is suspended for 90 days or until the class is completed. 2 tickets resulting in DMV points, their license will be suspended. 3 tickets before they're 18, their license will be revoked for 1 year or until they turn 18. Another issue with juvenile drivers is they cannot just hide a ticket from their parents. If they are charged with any traffic infraction or criminal offense, a parent has to go to court with them, or else if they prepay the ticket, a parent has to have a notarized signature that they were aware of it. So juveniles, basically, they can't get away with stuff. The parents have to be involved. And unfortunately, if you're the parent of a juvenile and they have to go to court, you're going to have to go too. Will a traffic ticket affect me in the future if I get another ticket? Yes, it will, because I mentioned many times earlier, a clean driving record. If you're convicted of anything, it will be on your record for a number of years. And if you're pulled over again, a police officer will see it. If you go to court, the prosecutor is going to see it, the judge is going to see it, your insurance company is going to see it, everybody's going to see it. So it will be harder to negotiate or ask for leniency in the future if you have prior issues. That's why even if this is your first offense, you definitely don't want to automatically just pay it because, oh, it's not a big deal. It could potentially affect you in the future if and when you are pulled over again. Another question people ask is, can I appeal if I lose? You have 10 days to appeal. So if you prepay your ticket and you change your mind, you can go to court and you can appeal it. Or if you go to court to fight your ticket and you're not happy with the result, you can appeal it within 10 days. But past those 10 days, and that's not 10 business days, that's 10 days. Past that 10 days, it's too late to do anything about it. Conviction's on your driving record, and if it's a criminal conviction, it's on your criminal record. Is there anything I can do to help my case before court? I would definitely consult with a lawyer before prepaying anything. And then obviously it's up to you whether you want to pay that ticket or pay a lawyer or go to court and fight it yourself, any of those things. And that attorney can tell you based on your situation what things you possibly could do to help, whether your issue is security clearance whether you're trying to avoid going to jail, don't want to lose your license, you can take a driver improvement class. Community service is not really something that I recommend for traffic offenses, but some people choose to do that too. But there are things you can do proactively before court. And the end of my presentation, do I need an attorney and what happens if I don't hire an attorney? Do I need an attorney? You should consult with an attorney. If you have issues where you're close to losing your license, then maybe an attorney would be good for you to tell you things you can do to negotiate in court or to take something to trial if you need to. An attorney can also tell you based on your driving record. I can look at a record now and tell you immediately if you're in danger or not for suspension. And it's based on Virginia, like whatever you have out of state doesn't really matter in terms of these points that I'm talking about. So if you're in danger of DMV imposed penalties, you might not want to just prepay this ticket or admit guilt to it. You might want to fight the ticket or have an attorney fight the issue for you so you don't get those points, because once you get convicted in court, DMV gives you points. There's nothing a judge can do about it. It's just automatic. So there are a lot of things an attorney can do to help. And what happens if I don't? Oh, and another thing I didn't mention, a local attorney. Whatever county it is that you have your charge in, I would always suggest hiring or consulting with a local attorney, because they know the prosecutors, they know the judges, they know the procedures. The laws are the same throughout the state of Virginia, but procedurally, there are certain things that work better in certain courts than others. So it's always better to talk to a local attorney. And what happens if I don't hire an attorney? Basically kind of the opposite of everything I said. You might not know the best things to do for your particular case before court. You might not know how many points are going to be assessed. Basically, if you don't hire an attorney, you might not know these things that I'm telling you in this presentation. Prepaying the ticket is a conviction, and then it's too late to do anything about it. And if you don't hire an attorney, you can represent yourself in court, but then you're going to have to take time off work to go to court. But that's your constitutional right. You can do that, but you might not be aware of procedural things that you can do or proactive things you can do before court without talking to an attorney. So that is my presentation. I try not to talk too fast, but I think that I was, because my eye was on the clock. So does anybody have any questions?
In California, from where we just moved a year or so ago, they have a two-tier system. They've got the Department of Motor Vehicles and they've got the court system. And if, for example, you get a DUI, you're obviously charged criminally in the court system. But the DMV runs an administrative hearing on that as well. So while the court may not suspend your license, the DMV may suspend your license. What's that? Is there a similar procedure here in Virginia?
Not quite like that. You have to be convicted in court of the DUI for the DMV to assess the points. So if you're convicted of the DUI, the DMV automatically does assess the points. But in Virginia, the DMV can and will suspend your license for other issues that the court is not involved in, like failure to pay child support, unpaid civil judgments, things like that. So that's completely separate from court. So the criminal, you have to be actually convicted in court or prepay the ticket for the DMV to assign the points and suspend your license.
Donna, you got a
Quick question.
I think Donna was next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'll make it fast. Thank you very much for everything that you shared, and no, you didn't talk too fast. You got a lot in and fully understood. As a person who has a heavy foot and have since I learned to drive at 9, I have to be very careful, and I'm cautious about it. But I deal with employees here where I work in human resources weekly that have gotten a ticket, that don't fully understand what that means in 1 and 2 and 3. And I'm dealing with somebody right now that he's lost his license for a year. He's having to take Uber. It can become very costly. Mm-hmm. So I would ask you all to heed her warnings. And if you ever find yourself in a situation, even if it being your first ticket, that you do ask for an attorney's assistance to fully understand the ramifications before you make decisions. And my happy talk shifted today after hearing this. I am very thankful that my dogs cannot get a driver's license because I know one of them I'd be in court with every week.
Nice.
His name is Loki and he lives up to his name. So
Oh, Loki.
thank you very much. I
Cheryl,
appreciate your time.
Cheryl Arnold, you had a question?
Yeah, quick question. So, two quick questions, and I'm gonna just ask them and then you can answer. The first question is about speed cameras and how this whole thing is, if it's different, if it's not a police officer who stops you, but just a speed camera. And then also I've heard that if you get a ticket and you go to court and the officer doesn't show up, that it gets wiped out. So is that true?
So to your second question, that's not automatically the way that it works, because
Okay.
sometimes officers get sick, sometimes they have valid reasons for not being there, and sometimes they'll continue the case, sometimes they'll drop the case. So it's not automatically if the officer doesn't show up. It's possible, but not automatic. And a lot of people think that the officers just don't show up a lot, but that's not true either, because they have assigned court dates. So every ticket they write is going to be on their court date. So it's rare that they don't show up. Regarding your first question, the cameras. So it's not, it's a civil penalty, basically, for the speed cameras in Virginia. You can prepay it. You can go to court to fight it. But if you're convicted, it's not like the DMV assesses the points they would if an officer stopped you. So I think it's usually like 250, but don't quote me on that. I think there's just an automatic fine, like this is your fine. You can prepay it. But it usually says on there that it's not going to go on your driving transcript and it's not going to result in points. So it's a way for them to make money, and it's not going to be on your driving record. So a lot of people just pay those because what's the big deal? I don't want to take time to fight it. I'm not going to get the points. It's not going to be on my record. But you actually can fight those. You can fight those administratively, or you can fight it in court. It depends on how long it takes you to respond to the ticket. So basically the answer is it's a fine, it's a civil offense. It doesn't really show up anywhere. But you can fight that in court. And basically, like there's a phone number and an address and a website you can go to on the paper that they send you in the mail where you say you want to fight it.
Seema, you had a question?
Windows?
Well, there's a comment on that. I was very lucky, but there is a question attached to it. So back in college, I did get a high enough to be a reckless driving, because I remember I had the question because I was actually on the court date supposed to be in Massachusetts for work. And so on the back, it said, if you are 20 miles or over, it's automatically reckless. And on the front, he didn't mark reckless because there's a place for the officer to mark reckless. So I called and I said, look, I'm supposed to be working in Massachusetts on the court date. Can I prepay it? They told me yes. And I'm pretty sure I got points, but I did not get a criminal record as far as I know. So my question is that where it says automatically, is that first of all, still the case? Because it's like 20 years ago. And second of all, you know, is it really automatic or does it just say that on the back?
That it automatically is reckless driving?
If it's 20 miles or over. Because I somehow got away with not.
I wasn't aware that it said that because it's not automatically reckless.
It's not automatic. Okay.
Because it could
on
be
this particular ticket, it did say that because I freaked out because I thought I had to be in court and I called and I didn't end up having to be in court.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know. But it's not automatically reckless driving. It's reckless driving or speeding. So I'm guessing yours was speeding at that speed.
It must have been, but it was 20. It was like I said, the wording was if it is 20 miles or over the speed limit, then it is automatically reckless on the back, but the officer didn't check it on the front. So I was just curious. And maybe it was just that particular ticket that the wording was weird. So, all right.
Mr. Cook, you had a question?
An interesting one. I'm from Texas, and years ago, Texas Monthly had an article that obviously in Texas, there was a lot of small municipalities that had speed traps. But the way to get out of the speed trap, they said, was to request a trial by jury. And then the local, wouldn't want to have that on their record with the state capitol. Is that even possible in Virginia? Are we allowed to have a trial by jury in a traffic contest?
Yes, you can, but the first level of court is general district court, and there aren't juries there. So if you're convicted there, or you're not happy with whatever the result was, like even if you're convicted of something less and want to appeal it, you would appeal it to circuit court. And then when it got to circuit court, you would set it for either a bench trial or a jury trial. So basically, if you lose or you're not happy with the result, then you can ask for the jury trial. But good luck doing that now during COVID. Because
Interesting. Well, thank you. Great
All right, so
presentation.
I think Don had his hand up and then Cindy.
Well, I want to know if Cindy's been in Texas, because she had her hand up.
Cindy, you're on mute. You're still muted.
Your mic's just not working.
My mic's not working.
There you
Oh,
go.
you're
Is
back.
that better? Okay. I have been to Texas. I never got a ticket in Texas. My question is, if you get a reckless driving as a juvenile when you turn 18, is that sealed?
I'm glad you asked that. And if you buy the book, you will get much more information about that. No, it's not sealed. It does not automatically go away when you turn 18. Here's the
Oh.
weird thing about juvenile convictions. If you are convicted of a crime, it will go, as a juvenile, it will drop off your criminal record basically within 5 years from the offense date or the conviction date, or from when you were 19, which is really weird. So basically, when you turn 24, those offenses will go away. Misdemeanors, felonies will never go away. Regarding traffic tickets and issues that are reported to the DMV, for some reason, they remain, as a juvenile, if you are convicted, like a reckless driving, it will remain on your driving record. Well, your driving record for 11 years, that's a separate issue. On your criminal record until you are 29. So whether you were 15, 16, 17, 18, not 18, 17, it will be on your criminal record until you are 29 years old. And there's nothing you can do about it. When you turn 29, it will eventually go away. Any offenses that are reported to the DMV, it's a weird rule, but you could beat somebody up and get convicted of assault and it goes away when you're 24. Reckless driving, it's on there until you're 29. Yes.
Would you talk a little bit about calibration of instruments, like for DUI, breathalyzers, as well as radar? How frequently do you check into that in order to see whether it's an accurate reading?
Well, the officers have to bring their calibration reports every time they go to court for their machines, radar and LiDAR. So if you prepay your ticket, you can't check into it. But if you go to court, fight it yourself, you can ask to see those calibration reports, or the lawyer will. And the officer, I'm sure there's been instances where they didn't, but they almost always have those calibration reports. And it shows there's certain dates from, before the offense date where it had to have been calibrated, and then you can see if it was properly calibrated. Calibrating basically just means making sure the machine is working accurately, and they're supposed to check it every shift before they go out on the road. So they have to bring those reports to court. And in terms of the DUI and the breathalyzer, you can do a FOIA request to get the breathalyzer records to show how often they were checked, how often they were tested, how often they malfunctioned, because they actually do put that in the reports, and you can get a FOIA request for that if there's an issue that results in you having a DUI. The attorney usually, but you can do it yourself, but you have to submit a FOIA request.
How often have you challenged either a DUI or a speeding ticket based upon calibration issues?
I don't know that I've ever seen it be an issue. However, I just remember this. If you get a ticket, a speeding ticket or reckless driving, you can get your speedometer calibrated. So if you get it calibrated, it'll show the speed that you that reflects the speed that reflects that you see when you are driving, and the actual speed. So sometimes those are off. So I guess that's more what you're talking about. I have seen that before. So if you get your speedometer calibrated, and let's say it shows that you're driving 50, but you're really driving 60. That makes a huge difference, because if you thought you were driving 50 and you're really driving 60 and you got a reckless driving for going 20 miles per hour more, you could have gotten a speeding ticket. That makes a difference. And I have seen cases like that. I'm not quite 10 miles, but if you're on the border and that calibration of your speedometer shows that you thought you were going slower than you actually were, then that can help in court.
How about information from the black boxes in cars?
So that's usually after serious traffic accidents, and I have not had an issue personally with that.
Can I ask one more quick question?
Yeah.
So there's the rumor that's always floated around that there's certain periods of the month where cops are incented to go out and give more tickets. Is that true?
I have never confirmed that is true. I have not personally noticed in my experience more tickets at a certain time of the month. So I can't really.
Or like a quota, do they have like a quota of a certain number of tickets they're supposed to give?
They claim they don't.
Okay.
I got a question, which I'm surprised nobody has asked. What do you charge for consultation? If I got a speeding ticket and I'm doing 20 over, what would you charge me to discuss with me on what we should do?
Anybody here will get a free consultation. No, I'm just kidding. I do free consultations.
Okay. Now we decide that you're going to court with me. What's your typical charge to fight a speeding ticket?
It depends on the county, really, because if it's Prince William where I go more often, it's going to be a little bit. Well, that would be my normal rate, and if it's somewhere that I don't go as often, then it's a little higher. But and it depends. I mean, some people say they have a ticket, but then there's 6 other charges that go along with it, and that would be a higher charge than just one ticket. But for just one charge, it wouldn't be less than $500.
Is it a flat fee or you charge hourly?
I do flat fees. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I don't know if you got anybody else has any more questions for. I want to thank you, Gene, for putting up with me for chewing up your last name first and foremost. But I think I learned a lot today because again, I know about the rates and stuff, but and how it can affect your insurance. So if you don't have an attorney, call Gene.
Well, I'd like to know how many on this call have actually gotten a speeding ticket.
I don't have enough hands. I'm not like Mark Cook.
More like who
Four-way test.
It's more like
Hey, Don, since I'm in the intelligence community and we do background investigations regularly on all our people, I'll do one on you too.
Cool.
I'd like to make
I'm sure you'll be bored to death.
Quick comment from me is just like your credit report that you should check regularly to see that something isn't on there that you're unaware of. I think everybody should look at their driving record for the same reason. There are things that are mistakenly done that you have no idea that they were done, and you don't want to find out at the last second when it really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want to encourage everybody who has grandchildren and daughters and kids. I mean, what she said about affecting your security clearance is true, but isn't a culmination with the biggest 2 things are your driving record and your social media accounts. That how you not being able to go security clearance.
Wow.
I do that on a regular basis.
Exactly.
How do you check your driving record?
Oh, you can go to Virginia, the Virginia DMV website, and you should have a login. And if you don't have one, you just create it. You need your driver's license number or your social security number if you don't have a Virginia license. You just set up an account. It's super easy. And then you go in and you can check either you get your driving transcript. That's what your driving record's called. Or your compliance summary. Compliance summary applies if you're suspended for some reason. It tells you what you need to do to get reinstated. But you just log on and then you get it. And then it shows how many points you have. It shows your convictions that goes back several years.
And she's absolutely right. But if you've never created your DMV online account, it's very simple, but it's a two-stage process for the first time. You create it online and then you wait for a PIN that arrives by mail. Then you can have access, but it's invaluable to have it even to, particularly in times of COVID, there's so much you can do online to renew. There are things that you have to do in person, but there are a lot of things you can do online, including your driver's transcript is available.
Oh, and another thing, lawyers cannot get your transcripts for you. People don't believe me, but they keep that under lock and key, the DMV. I cannot call, and no matter how much I try, they're not going to give it to me. That's something that only you can access your driving transcript.
Perfect. Anybody else have any more questions for Jean?
Thank you.
I do have a question here. Like many years ago, I had a speeding ticket in Fairfax County, and I went to court, and I think the judges were, well, because never been to court at a given time, but when I went there, and many cases were taken, and the judge always asked for driving records, and police officers always have. I guess many of the cases before me were given records. Yeah, for some reason the officer were able to obtain driving records from the DMVs and hand it to the judges. Before I went there, of course, I talked to colleagues and they said, hey, it's best if you pull a driving record and take it with you, because you never know if they're going to pull yours or not, and give it to the judge. So anyway, it seems like the judge always asks for those driving records, and I guess they make determination of whether you're a bad guy, a good guy, or something like that. But a good thing is, I went to the DMV website on Prince William, and I got my records, and I give it, give it to the police officer. The police officer gave it to the judge, because the police officer said he didn't pull my driving record. So, based on that, it's like, okay, you're good, just pay the fine and you're good to go. So is that a determination for the judge? It's kind of like, hey, based on your past driving record, then he determined, what your outcomes are?
Well, they're not supposed to determine guilt based on your record. I'm sure it probably does happen, but if the judge finds you guilty, then he asks the police officer for the driving record, and they basically determine the fine based on your previous driving record. Got a clean record, they might offer you traffic school. If you got a clean record, it might be a suspended fine, but the more you have on your record, the higher your fine is likely to be. So that's why the judge asked for that, because it should be after he's convicted you and was trying to figure out the penalty. So yeah, as I say, your record does affect you. So the more that you have on there, like they will see it.
And the more Jean gets to charge you, the more you have. Because she's got to defend a lot harder then. So anyway, guys, any more questions for Jean? We're coming up on the 9 o'clock hour, and we can finish our happy talk. I know we've had a couple people jump off already, but if no more questions for Jean.
Thank you.
Jean, great job.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming and educating us. Thank you. So we appreciate it. And you're more than welcome to stay on the call if you want.
I'll stay.
So, all right. So I'm going to try to remember. Peter, did we get to you on Happy Talk before Jean came on?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to you then. Happy Talk, Peter.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Okay. So over the weekend, I tried to replace a sink faucet in my bathroom, and I thought it was going to be a real piece of cake to replace it. But man, it's actually getting the old faucet out was, I don't know, it was just taking me at least a whole day to get it out, because everything was so rustic, and yeah, and the all the piece of equipment that they were putting on were plastic, and they get brittle over time, and when you try to turn them, and they broke off, and it's under the sink, and it's hard to reach. But after a whole day on Saturday, I was able to get everything off, so I'm really happy with that. And now it's the time for me to put in the new faucet. But I tell you, I get the hardest part of replacing any faucet is just removing the old one.
How much did you charge yourself?
For 4 hours times 100, maybe $400.
Be careful doing that on the weekend. You can create more problems that you can't get out of without someone available.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, all right, Don, how about yourself? What are you happy about? I don't think we started with you.
Did
Right.
you say Don or Donna?
Donna, you,
Donna.
Miss Donna.
A slight shift, and yes, I'm very happy my dogs cannot obtain a driver's license. But my real happy talk was that I think some of you know I have been in the midst of, for 10 days now, and it's still going on, a huge employee issue that has consumed my last 10 days, and it continues, but it is wrapping up. So I'm very thankful that we're coming to the end. Sorry I missed last week. Hope that won't happen again. Thanks.
All right, perfect. Seema, how about yourself?
I have two things. One, I finally got to go to that, what is it called? RX3, whatever. My husband and I went on a date night. We thought we were gonna get treatments, but there wasn't time for that. We did the tour and got a free like vibration bed. So that was really cool. And then one of my Christmas gifts was a coloring book, an adult coloring book. And I just finally started in the last couple of days. So that's my
Awesome. Awesome. Shannon, how about you?
Hey, good morning, everybody. I guess the first biggest thing is I'm really glad I have a very good attorney, having had 2 daughters. And just watching the inauguration. So, you know, happy days.
Awesome. Alan, how about you?
Well, just spent 2 weeks at the beach, and I guess if you have to be cooped up, that's not a bad place to be. I wish it was dramatically warmer than here, but it was 5 or so degrees warmer. So I wouldn't say I'm glad to be back, but it was fun time.
You know, anytime at the beach, cold or warm, it's better than being here. Sorry, just saying.
Oh, we're right on the ocean, so it's certainly a good view.
All right. Papa G, how about you?
Well, as far as happy news, I'm not too happy. I've gotten some visitors up in the attic, some raccoons, and I've hired Jesse James Critter Getters, and hopefully the traps will be out today, and they will secure the house for entry points for the future. And so I'm trying to evict them today. I'm going to send them a rent notice. If they don't pay up, then the traps are going to be put out. So
That's funny. Sarah, I know you're just a guest here today, but you've seen probably 15 people do the happy talk. So tell us what you're happy other than supporting your girl here, Jean.
So first of all, sorry, I wasn't sitting down when we first started and I could hear you all asking who I was. I was in the other room. So I apologize for not introducing myself. I'm Sarah Alapin, and I'm an entrepreneur and Jean's friend. And I am happy that I got to be here this morning, and I'm planning this really awesome summit for next week, and it is all coming together beautifully. So I'm really excited about that. Virtual, of course, but I'm really excited about that.
Awesome. What kind of?
It's about building community so that you can like excel as an entrepreneur.
You should send me some information. I'd love to learn about that.
Oh, awesome. I'll send it to you in the chat if.
Okay. That'd be perfect.
Doug has some very good aspirational signs he might be able to share with you for your talk.
Yes. This is when we first started doing this virtual thing, this room was my storage unit in my house. And I've been working remotely since April. So now it is my office. So it's coming together.
It looks great. I would have had no idea.
Yeah, well,
it's
the first time.
It's the plant.
It's the plant. It's my palm tree. I had to bring that in off the deck. It's too cold outside for it. So anyway, send me information on the chat. I'd love to learn more.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, Kaz, how about yourself? You're on mute, buddy.
These techies.
I'm happy I survived the last 24 hours in getting a proposal, 9-page proposal done in less than 24 hours. It's been a rough week.
Well, I'm glad you got one proposal done earlier in the year. So,
Oh, yeah.
well, I'm glad you got it done and you're happier today.
And, Cindy's going to be attending our classes, the RLI, and just in case anybody's figured it out, but RLI and CPETS has come a long way. Shannon and I are both on those committees, and we'll be the producers in RLI, and I'm doing producing for CPETS and pre-pets. So if you get a chance to watch all the sessions, we'll see you then.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Don.
Well, first, I'm happy that I never have gotten a speeding ticket. I'm not sure how that is, but I have gotten, well, I was stopped and for a moving violation, but I actually got the police officer to laugh at and let me off. And you probably want to know what caused the officer to laugh, so I'll tell you. I was given a license plate cover by one of my sons for a Christmas present, which I promptly put on my car. And it said, "It takes a lot of balls to play golf the way I do." Sad but true also, but the cop said he hadn't had a laugh all day. And he just said, "Don't do what you did again," which was to let Jackie out of the car to go into a store in the middle of the street.
Wow. I was going to say the reason you probably didn't get a ticket ever in your life is because either Jackie drove you or your chauffeur was still driving you around at the time.
No, I'm the chauffeur. I drive Miss Daisy.
You drive, well, and you should drive her because she's the queen. So anyway, with that, Gene, how about you? I know you just did your presentation and you probably don't even know what we're doing, but this Happy Talks, we're just sharing what we're happy about.
I'm happy that I was able to be here today. I really enjoyed this presentation. You guys are awesome. And I am very happy that my friend Sarah was able to come for my presentation and get to meet all of you today. And I know she is super busy and planning the summit. I don't know how she made the time to do it, but I'm happy to have friends like Sarah who are there to support me and come see me speak.
Hey, is your book available on Amazon?
It absolutely is. And I can put a link in the chat.
And the link was in the email on Sunday, this past Sunday.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you guys both for coming and invite you to come back to another meeting and future meetings and maybe join us.
I'd love to come back.
Absolutely.
We need another lawyer in the club.
No.
Who's the lawyer in the group?
Don.
Don is the repentant lawyer. You're an attorney.
Okay.
No, it's recovering.
Yeah, recovering. Yeah, I think that's the expression.
No, it actually is
repentant.
And
Don has challenges. Did I miss anybody else on the Happy Talk? Because I know we started a few early, but I think I got everybody that's still left on the call, right? All right, perfect. I will just say that I am happy Jean did not kill me for chewing up her last name. And if I ever need her assistance, that she'll allow me, or she'll help me. So, but guys, keep it in mind. It is a great thing to have an attorney in your back pocket because you just don't know what he or she could do to help you. So
no, it's more important to have a good attorney in your pocket.
That is true. Very true. That's why we're talking about Gene and not you. Don, you know I love you, brother. Anyway, guys, thanks for being here today. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Everybody stay safe, be healthy, and we